With the passing of Act 419, schools are required to test students for the Career Readiness Certificate. This is an industry certification recognized by business and industry. This test assesses students' knowledge of documents, industry math, and graphs. There are 3 parts to the test. Depending on what the lowest score is will determine what certificate is obtained. The certificate range from bronze, which is a level 3, silver, which is a level 4, gold, which is a level 5, and platinum, which is a level 6 or 7. Students need to be given information to help them prepare for the test, and ACT has created a tutorial called Work Keys, which helps the students work through sample questions and quizzes to help increase their success on this test. The relative advantage for this curriculum is to prepare students for the Work Keys test and ultimately increase their score. There are other advantages to obtaining this certification, but a student cannot improve if they do not have information to help them understand the concepts. This program will help them if the student will apply themselves. This test is important not just because the state requires schools to offer it, but also to show how ready our students are for work. Some companies will not even interview a potential employee without the certification. As I mentioned earlier, Work Keys is a tutorial to help students pass the Career Readiness Certificate, or CRC for short. This curriculum is mainly used in the College and Career Readiness course, which is only for 11th graders. Schools could choose to use it in other classes. The curriculum has other tutorials that could be useful, such as business writing, but I am focusing on just the portion of the CRC test. Each module has lessons, practice, and quizzes for each portion of the test. For each module, students would take a pretest to predict which level they would score if they took the test that day. From this test, students would then start on the lessons the pretest placed the student. If a student scores a 3 on the placement test, then they would start in lesson 3. I encourage my students to take the placement test seriously. The better they do, the least amount of lessons they have to complete. Okay, so I'm going to show you what Work Keys looks like, first from the teacher side and then from a student's perspective. So in the teacher side, this is where you can pull your reports, see where kids are at, grade their assessments, see how long they've spent on the practice, reassign a quiz, a retake for the quiz, different things like that. So first, you go to workkeyscurriculum.act.org/login to log in. And now, in order to get started on this, the students would have to have accounts for this, and your district coordinator would set that up. And that looks a little different than this site that I'm showing you, but your district coordinator would have all of that information. Sometimes Work Keys takes a little bit of time to load between, looking at the reports or, checking grades. As you can see over here, there are assignments, instructor resources, message center, all of these choices over here. In order to see what the students are doing, the session details is a pretty good report. So you would click on it. And here's all the kids in there. And you could filter it based on, a particular name, a group, a course, or select a range, okay? So then over here, it tells you how long the student spent as well as the date. So you would click on the kid, and it shows you everything that pertains to them as far as their logins and how much time they spent. You can go to the quiz reports, and this will show you what quizzes they have taken and what their score has been. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, Work Keys sometimes is really slow, and when you click on things, it doesn't necessarily work. But the quiz reports was, this one lists all of the quizzes that the student has taken, but you can also get to that under student listing. So if I just click on a student, then it pulls up everything that they have done so far in the system. and it's grouped into the sections. So there's the work keys, workplace documents, applied math, etc. And you can see the different levels. The practice or the placement test is under 3 through 7, but so very rarely would a student, if they just click, they might start at a 1 and 2, but most of the time they start in lesson 3 through 7. So when I click on this, this gives you the option to set additional tests. So if I change this to 2, then it's actually going to give the student 3 more attempts. And this is only per student. The district testing coordinator would set this limit for them. And then you can see what the student has completed and where they should start, as well as their average test score so far. And then these are all of the different items that the tutorial has. You can also go up here to impersonate and see what the student sees. So talking a little bit more here, real-time reports. Real-time reports will show you, when was their last activity for that section. Okay. So if you look at what the student says, you can click that impersonate, and it'll take you to what their site looks like. And theirs is a little bit different, of course, than what the teacher site has. And it takes it just a minute to load sometimes. And this message always pops up that says you're impersonating them. You just click continue and go on. All right, up here at the top, this is where you would choose what section to look at. So you would choose this, and there's more than just the 3 sections for work keys set up. So right here, there's the applied math. There's applied technology, electricity. You can just look through there. There's customer service. There's all kinds of stuff that you would could look through. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stick with the workplace documents, and the student would start by going to the lessons over here, and this is the table of contents for that. And they would go through, depending on what their placement test said. So first, the student needs to go over here to quizzes, and then they need to take their placement test, which is listed here. And it gives them the predicted level here. So what they would need to do then is go over here to lessons and find level 5, and they would click on this, and they would read through that and determine what is their confidence. And then they would click continue, and they would keep going through those sections until they completed all of this. Then they would go to their practice dashboard, and on their practice dashboard, they would start with level 5 practice right here. And depending on what they received on it, it would unlock this next section. But if they didn't do very well, then you can see that level 6 is still locked. So they would need to go back and review on their lessons, maybe retake their practice before trying to move on to the level 5 quiz, which is here. And then you can see how well the student did. You can also go through your reports to determine how much time they spent on it, to determine if you need to reset their quiz. But to get out of impersonating a student, you would click the X, and the student would go to that same website, workkeyscurriculum.act.org, to log in, and then the district coordinator would have that account set up for you already. But you're going to click that X, and it takes you out of the system, and sometimes it takes a little bit for it to load. If you click on, in the teacher side, if you click on students, and then you go back up here to select a course and click on the one that you're wanting to look at, what this one does is it pulls a report on all of the quizzes and all of the placement for the entire class. You could search for a specific student here. You can also export the current page or all of the pages to see, what that would look like. But here's the placement score, and then you can see that these students have not taken it yet. And then the ones that are up here, you can see what they have scored on it. And then if they've taken level 3, 4, 5, etc., then you would see that their quiz score as well. All right, so back to the session detail report. If you click on a student, then this gives you a little better snapshot of what's going on with the kid. So you can scroll down through here. This one has more time spent on it, and then you can see you can also change the item here as well, so you can get a better picture of what's going on with the kid. Okay, if you click on real-time reports and then you select the student, you can go through here and pick the level that you're wanting to look at. So we're going to start with workplace documents, and you can scroll down here, and it has how long it took them to take that quiz, what question they're on. So they're only on question 1, so they paused their test, and it took them 1 minute to read that. And then it shows you that on level 5 quiz, it took them 1 minute and they made a 0%. So I'm not sure what was going on with that. Then you can scroll down, and then it tells you this test is complete and what their score was and what date they took it on. Okay, and then you can also export practice questions and their quizzes to get kind of an average of what their work looked like. So WorkKeys is a tutorial to help students prepare for the Career Readiness Certificate. The Career Readiness Certificate is an industry certification, and it lets employers know that students are ready to work. And with Act 419, all schools are required to offer this test and administer it before a student graduates. So this WorkKey system helps students learn the material, which in turn should increase their score. And all sections have lessons, which the student reads through, learns how to do something that it's asking them to do. Then they go and they take the practice, which gives them questions like what was on the real test. And then when they're completely ready, they feel like they've mastered it, then they go to the quiz section. And, you know, there's about 16 questions, give or take, depending on what one there is. And, you know, they have the opportunity to go back and retake a quiz. They have the opportunity to go back and relearn something that they didn't quite grasp. And teachers can pull reports, and the reports can tell them how much time was spent on the lesson, the practice, or the quizzes. It also gives you a chance to reset a student's quiz. So overall, WorkKeys is a pretty good tutorial to help students prepare and hopefully increase their score for the Career Readiness Certificate.